Right now, the search is on for 3 people who police say shot at a Savannah rapper, killing a member of his entourage. It happened in Los Angeles, and cameras.
All right, let's talk about the drama between Lil Durk and Quando Rondo. If we're being real, Quando and his crew never wanted beef with King Von. They never wanted any of this to go down, but things happened, and here we are. Now, even though Lil Tim was just defending his friend, Lil Durk still wants revenge for Von. And since Durk lives in Atlanta, you'd think he'd just send the hit to Savannah, right? I mean, it's not far, and Quando's crew is close by. But here's the thing, Savannah is their turf. And it's the South where everyone's strapped. It's not an easy move, so Durk decides to wait it out for the perfect opportunity. So why Los Angeles? It's not just a random city choice. For Lil Durk, it's the perfect place to make a move. The first big reason is that Quando Rondo and his crew wouldn't have the home field advantage in LA. They're from Savannah, Georgia, not exactly a place they can call home turf in the city of angels. In a city like LA, with its maze of neighborhoods, it's easy to get lost, especially if you're not familiar with the terrain. It's not like they can just tap into their local connections the way they could in Georgia, where they have more control over their environment. And then there's the issue of being legally armed in California. In LA, the gun laws are strict. Getting your hands on a weapon is no easy task, especially if you're not well connected. So it's not like Quando and his guys can just arm themselves and expect to be ready for anything. They'd be at a disadvantage in that sense too. But the biggest reason Durk picks LA, it all comes down to Bricc Baby. This is the guy with the street knowledge and connections that could make things happen in LA. Bricc Baby is someone who knows the city inside and out, including how to track people down and where to get the right resources when you need them. His reputation gives him the street cred necessary to pull off something like this. If you're Durk, you want someone in LA who has the right intel and who can put you in touch with the right people. Bricc Baby checks all those boxes. In short, LA gives Durk the upper hand. It's the one place where Quando Rondo and his crew wouldn't have the same power or knowledge of the streets, and it's the perfect spot to make a calculated move. So here's how it all goes down. On August 18, 2022, nearly 2 years after the tragic loss of King Von, Lil Durk receives a call that sets everything in motion. The word is out. Quando Rondo, the man linked to Von's death, is in Los Angeles. For Durk, this is the moment he's been waiting for, the perfect opportunity to get back at the man he holds responsible for the pain Von's death caused. After all, it's not just about the loss of his friend, it's about standing firm on the street code and seeking revenge for the fallen. With the fire of vengeance burning in his chest, Durk knows this is the chance to make things right, at least in his eyes. Durk's first call is to Vonnie Cavon Grant, a trusted member of OTF, Only the Family, Durk's label and crew. Vonnie's known in the streets for handling business and getting things done. If there's anyone who can be relied upon to execute a mission like this, it's Vonnie. Durk isn't just sending anyone to LA, he's sending someone who's got the skills, the network, and the resolve to see it through. Vonnie's job is clear: get everything in place. That means securing the travel plans, handling accommodations, and most importantly, assembling the crew. Durk trusts Vonnie to take care of the logistics and make sure everything goes smoothly. Vonnie doesn't waste any time. He immediately gets to work, contacting 4 men known for their street credibility, reputation, and loyalty to OTF. These men are DeAndre D. Wilson, Keith Flocka Jones, David Brown Eyes Lindsay, and Asa Boogie Houston. These aren't random guys, they're handpicked for the job because they've proven themselves in the streets. These are the kinds of guys you want with you if you're stepping into a high-stakes situation like this. And the moment they hear about the mission, they're all in, they know what's at stake, and they're prepared to take whatever steps necessary to ensure the mission's success. Now, here's where things start to get a bit messy. Vonnie is smart, but even the best make mistakes. In the midst of planning, Vonnie makes the rookie error of booking everything using the OTF credit cards. Flights, hotels, everything is paid for with the label's funds. It's a move that, while convenient, ends up being a huge red flag. Durk, realizing what's been done, quickly texts Vonnie telling him to cancel any plans made under his name or anything linked to OTF. But by then, it's already too late. The flights are booked, the hotels are set, and one of the shooters has even gone so far as to DM his girl on Instagram, letting her know he's headed to LA. It's a slip-up and one that could come back to haunt them later, but for now, the plan is still in motion. With the logistics in place, the crew starts making their way to LA. Vonnie takes a private jet, flying in quietly to avoid drawing attention. By the time he lands, it's the early hours of August 19th, and the game is on. He immediately heads to a luxury car rental service to secure the getaway vehicles for the crew. Vonnie picks up a BMW M5 and an Infiniti G37, wiping them down carefully to remove any trace of fingerprints or other evidence. The last thing they need is to be tied back to the crime. While he's waiting for the cars to be prepped, Vonnie makes another stop, this time at Big 5 Sporting Goods. He picks up 4 ski masks and 4 pairs of gloves. He's taking every precaution to ensure that there's no way to link these guys to the shooting. It's all about covering up every trace, no matter how small. Now, this is where things take a darker turn. While the cars are being cleaned, Voney makes another call. He needs weapons. This is where things get even more complicated and where another two key figures come into the picture: co-conspirator 2 and co-conspirator 4. The FBI may not know their real names, but they're playing a critical role in what's about to happen. Voney meets up with co-conspirator 2, who hands him a duffel bag full of weapons. The plan is simple: get the tools for the job and get out of there as quickly as possible. But there's still one more thing: they need to figure out Kwando's exact location. Enter co-conspirator 4. Voney and co-conspirator 4 meet up, and the strategy gets finalized. 4 tells Voney he knows exactly where Quando Rondo is. He's the one with the inside knowledge. With the location locked in, Voney and the crew hit the road. They load up the M5 and the Infiniti and head towards their destination, Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles, a busy street known for its trendy shops and restaurants. There, they spotted the black Escalade. It's the car they've been waiting for. Co-conspirator 4 messages Voney and confirms that it's, in fact, Quando's vehicle. The tension is palpable as Voney and the crew tail the Escalade down Melrose. They're waiting for the perfect moment to make their move, and it doesn't take long. When the Escalade pulls over at a gas station, they know it's now or never. The crew parks in an alley next to the station, and they get out on foot, moving quickly and quietly. They approach the gas station, and then boom, over 100 shots are fired into the Escalade. They unload, shooting as fast as they can. After the barrage of bullets, they rush back to their cars and disappear into the night. It's a chaotic scene, and the aftermath is even crazier. Quando Rondo miraculously survives, but his best friend is not so lucky. He's the one who takes the fatal shot. The shooting makes headlines, with police reporting multiple gunshots and a frantic scene at the gas station. The investigation into the shooting becomes another chapter in the ongoing war between OTF and those connected to King Von's death. But as the dust settles, one question lingers: who exactly is behind the attack, and how deep does this rabbit hole go? Now, this is where things get a little sloppy. Voney books everything with OTF's credit cards. Just after he does this, Durk texts him saying, "Don't use my name for anything too late." Voney's already booked the flights and hotel rooms. And then one of the shooters DMs his girl saying he's heading to LA. But even with all this extra heat, the plan doesn't stop. The shooters get to LA, Voney hops on a private jet, and by August 19th, everything's in motion. Voney rents a couple of cars, grabs ski masks and gloves from a store using the OTF card again, and gets to work. He meets up with co-conspirator 2, who hands him a bag full of weapons. Then they head to the hotel, get the rest of the crew, and start tracking down Quando's black Escalade. They find it on Melrose Avenue, and the moment they've been waiting for arrives. They pull into a gas station, and that's when the shooters make their move. They park, get out, and light up the Escalade. Over 100 shots. Crazy, right? Thankfully, Quando wasn't hit, but his best friend wasn't so lucky. He ends up getting shot and killed in the process. After the shooting, Voney and the crew clean up, wipe down the rental cars, and return everything. They change clothes, head to Calabasas, meet up with co-conspirator 2 to settle payments, and then head to San Diego for a few days to lay low. But here's the interesting part: who's Durk trusting in California to handle all this? Who's helping him with the money and the intel? This is where Bricc Baby comes into the picture. He's tied to the rolling 60s in LA and has connections that go way back with Durk. Bricc Baby's got the street knowledge, and it wouldn't be surprising if he helped Durk get the location on Quando. In fact, after the shooting, Bricc Baby kind of drops hints that he might have been involved. He goes on a podcast and even talks about how Von's death was get back for Von. He also drops a song, Not Enough, where he raps about turning someone into a pack and taking shots. Definitely some suspicious lines there. And then, out of nowhere, something happens that leaves everyone scratching their heads. Bricc Baby, who until recently was just another figure in the streets, suddenly finds himself living in a massive mansion in Calabasas, one of the most exclusive areas in all of Los Angeles. And here's the kicker: this is just a year after he's released from prison. Now, if you know anything about the streets, you know that a jump like this is more than a little suspicious. Typically, when someone does a stretch in prison and comes out, they're either struggling to stay afloat or trying to rebuild their life. But Bricc Baby? He goes from being a convicted felon to living in a sprawling, multi-million-dollar mansion in one of the most affluent neighborhoods in the country. That's not something that just happens. You don't go from prison time to Calabasas without some serious backing, and when people started asking questions, it only raised more eyebrows. How did Bricc Baby, a guy who just served time for armed robbery, afford such a lavish lifestyle? Who was funding him? And why the sudden surge in his wealth? The answer is murky at best, and that's where things take a truly wild turn. Shortly after Bricc Baby settles into his new home, the feds start paying very close attention to him. They've been watching for months, tracking his every move. They're following him around, keeping tabs on his comings and goings, trying to figure out what exactly he's up to. It's almost as if they've got a feeling that there's more to Bricc Baby than meets the eye, and that's when the real trouble starts. In June 2023, after months of surveillance, the feds decide it's time to act. They raid Bricc Baby's Calabasas mansion. It's a dramatic move, and they come in with all the force you'd expect when you're dealing with someone who's connected to high-level street activity. Inside the house, they discover an Alaska 47. Now let's talk about that for a second. For anyone who doesn't know, possessing an assault rifle like an Alaska 47 in California is a huge deal, especially if you have a criminal history. Bricc Baby isn't just any guy, he's a 4-time felon. That's a red flag right there. Given his past convictions, armed robbery, among others, this isn't just a minor issue. The feds don't take this lightly. In fact, possession of a weapon like an Alaska 47, combined with his criminal history, could have landed him in serious trouble. We're talking about years, possibly even decades behind bars. This is the kind of situation where most people would buckle under the pressure, and it would seem like Bricc Baby was about to face the music for his past actions. But here's where things get even crazier. The case, despite all the evidence, despite the weapon found in his home, somehow just disappears. The charges never stick. The investigation fizzles out, and Bricc Baby walks away with no serious consequences. It's baffling. How does this happen? In a case as high profile as this one, with such clear evidence against him, you'd think there'd be no way out. But Bricc Baby doesn't just walk free, he keeps his mansion, he keeps his newfound wealth, and no one seems to ask too many questions about how he pulled it off. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because when something like this happens, the first question people ask is, did he snitch? How does someone with his criminal record and with a weapon like an Alaska 47 in his possession just get off scot-free? In the world of street politics, snitching is the ultimate betrayal. The idea that Bricc Baby might have cut a deal with the feds, potentially offering up information in exchange for his freedom, starts to feel less like a theory and more like a possibility. Could Bricc Baby have snitched his way out of a serious prison sentence? It's a real question, and one that more and more people are starting to consider. He's not exactly the most upstanding character. His history speaks for itself, and the sudden wealth, the mansion in Calabasas, and the feds' interest in him only make the idea of him cooperating with law enforcement seem more plausible. Of course, Bricc Baby has always played it cool. He's not the type to openly admit to snitching, but his actions or the lack thereof raise serious questions. The fact that he gets off without facing consequences could suggest that he gave up someone or something to the feds. Maybe he ratted out someone in his crew, maybe he provided information on a higher profile target. Whatever it was, the timing of everything from the sudden jump in his lifestyle to the feds tracking his every move makes it hard to believe that it's all just a coincidence. But even if Bricc Baby didn't snitch directly, there's something about his involvement in the streets that doesn't quite add up. His recent actions, his involvement with Lil Durk, his apparent connection to OTF, and his ties to the shooting of Lil P, which many believe was part of the larger retaliation for Von, suggest a deeper involvement in the game than just some rapper trying to make it. There's speculation that his rapid rise in wealth might have something to do with his involvement in these dangerous, high-stakes situations. In fact, the more you look at his story, the more it starts to feel like Bricc Baby has been playing a dangerous game, one that could have had some very real consequences if he wasn't so well connected. So what's the real story? Was Bricc Baby working with the feds? Did he snitch to avoid jail time, or is there something even darker going on behind the scenes? One thing is for sure, people are starting to ask questions, and the mystery surrounding his sudden rise to power only deepens the suspicion. There's still a lot we don't know, but if Bricc Baby really did manage to talk his way out of a serious prison sentence, it wouldn't be the first time that someone on the inside cut a deal to save themselves. In the world Bricc Baby operates in, loyalty is everything, but so is survival, and when you're facing years behind bars, the temptation to cooperate with the feds can be a powerful thing. As the feds continue to look into him, and as his ties to people like Lil Durk and the OTF crew continue to be scrutinized, one thing seems certain: Bricc Baby's story is far from over. Whether he's a snitch or simply a master manipulator, there's no denying that the feds have their eyes on him and the truth may eventually come out. Until then, all we can do is watch as the drama unfolds, because in the streets, nothing stays hidden for long. Wack 100, another guy who's always been in the mix, seems to think Bricc Baby's involvement might have tipped the feds off about Durk. He suggests that Bricc Baby's talk might have led them to Durk in the first place. It's wild, but it also makes sense. Sometimes the feds don't even know what they're looking for until someone like Bricc Baby gives them a clue. Then there's the way Bricc Baby reacts to news about the OTF indictment. He seems pretty calm, almost like he knew it was coming. He even talks about how he would have helped Durk find Quando's location. Is that suspicious or just casual talk? Maybe a little of both. So what do you think? Was Bricc Baby co-conspirator 2 or 4? Did he help Durk find Quando, or was he just caught up in everything? And what about the feds? Did he snitch to save himself, or is there another angle here? Let me know your thoughts, because this whole story is one wild ride.